My name is Langford and I'm doing my pool plant operator video assessment. I'm starting off by showing you our plant room and I'm here to do the closing checklist. Come with me. Alright, so this is our plant room. Here we keep our chemicals to make sure they're raised off the ground on pallets. Over here we have the automatic readers, our 2 filter tanks, eye wash station, switchboard, pump, major pump and the 2 pro-cow doses. Right, we have the 2 filters, filter A, and we'll check the PSI and write it down. 140, filter B, 145. Perfect. So the next step on our checklist is to inspect the hopper, make sure it's full of chlorine, so we'll do that now. Through the plastic you can see that it's full, so I write that down, and here it says more was added this morning, so I know not to add any more. Alrighty, so here we have our light switches, our fuse box, and also our ventilation. Alrighty, here we have the heater shed, where our heaters heat the pool. So if you come in, so we have 2 identical heaters. One for the main pool, one for the toddler and learner pools. You can see here it's set at 27 and currently it's at 26. So we document that and write it down. Here we have our balance tank and our fire hose, which is located inside the plant room that leads through there. And behind you we have our wastewater tank. So 2 backwash comes up here and into the tank. So in here we have our storage shed. We have our safety equipment, PPE, life jackets, all of our cleaning supplies, and in these drawers we have spare items. So here are our procedures documents that we keep in the kiosk, and here we have our CO2 emergency. So if an alarm on our CO2 tank, which is located here, goes off, this tells us exactly what to do. If one alarm goes off, we isolate the flow on this orange valve. However, if both alarms go off, we call this number here and don't attempt. So if this alarm 1 does go off and we do shut off the valve ourselves, I will then go talk to other staff and say we're not allowed to enter this area until we believe that it was safe enough and the light turns green. We would still call this number and let them know of the incident and then record it in our procedures book, which I just showed you. So this is where I collect the water from. We make sure we go elbow deep to get that really bottom level water instead of just stuff on the surface. Perfect. So here is where we conduct our pool tests. I have my water from the 3 pools and I've loaded up some test tubes already. We've got our base level, so our blank that we go in, put in the pool test and just make sure we've got that minimum level of nothing. So there it comes up as 0, 0. And here I've prepared my free chlorine, all wiped down. Put that in and test it. I test this a couple of times just to make sure it sets itself at its proper level. And then it comes up as a reading of 4.5 and we then write this down in our pool logs. Here we have our DPD XT for the total chlorine. I'm going to add this in and then dissolve that so we're ready to test. So here we have our total chlorine. We'll give that a wipe before we put it in the machine and just get the reading for this one. So perfect, 4.80, so we're all set. The free chlorine from the total chlorine, and that will give us our combined. So, and on the wall, here we have our procedural documents up here, so just in case you can refresh yourself and remind yourself how to do it. Here we have our phenol red, our pH reading. So I've put this in, set it to read pH, and test that now. Perfect, 7.7. So here we have our alkalinity tablets all dissolved. So we'll put that in, and again, switch the machine to test for alkalinity. And then once we get that reading, we record that also. So perfect, 7.1. Finally, we have our cyanuric acid. So we'll chuck that in, again transfer it, and get the reading. And then once we have all the readings, we take our logbook down into the plant room and read what the computer believes it is dosing. So perfect, 25 for cyanuric. So here, when we've finished with the test, we've got a little bucket for wastewater. We put it in here and just rinse out the test tube. Make sure it's all fresh, not contaminate the next test. So here we have our automatic readers that take the water from the probes and do their own tests. So we find these readings and write them down and see if they compare with our own takings. Alright, so all of our readings are pretty spot on, but say for example if we had too much chlorine in the pool, I would do the calculations of how much sodium thiosulfate we would need, which we saw just here in our plant room, and add that to the pool, obviously in my pool PPE. So here it shows how many pool tests we do in a day, as is required from the council and the public health regulations. Alrighty, so here we have our vacuum, which is actually currently unoperational. So we've got it in for repairs tomorrow, ready to go. So I've packed it up, and this is how, every time you remove the vacuum from the pool, this is how it is set. So when we're putting it in the water, you'll unspool this and make sure that's all in the water untangled, and then place the vacuum in on an angle so there's no air bubbles. So we have the cord plugged in to an extension, and to make sure it's working, we hit test, reset, test, and then it's getting power. So once we're plugged in and got power, we hit this on button, and then the vacuum cleaner starts to move as it would. We leave it in overnight, and then the next morning you come in to pull it out. You make sure you don't remove the vacuum cleaner by the cord, but once you get it to the surface, you use the handle. I then put it over a skimmer bucket to let all the excess water and dirt flow out. So, now when you're lifting up the pool cleaner, make sure you lift with your knees, not your back. And once it's out of the pool, you can clean it. Now I'll show you now how we can open the bottom to get the bag to clean it. There are these flaps, you push those in, and then the whole bag slides out like that. You then remove this Hessian bag from the cover and empty it into the bin or it's a waste, and then rinse it, clean it, replace it just like you see here, and then put it back into the vacuum cleaner itself, put the latches back over, and you're ready to go. So before starting a backwash, you go into the heater room and turn off the heater. So to turn off the heaters, we go to the base and turn them off with the power point, so all the settings stay the same. We start off, looking here is our backwash procedure. It's pinned up here, so if you ever have any trouble, you can always come back and have a look. So we start by turning off the ProCal. So it's very easy to turn off the ProCal, just one switch. Next, you come turn off the pump, pretty simple, one big red off button here. You can hear it's turned off. Procedure, there are many valves that I need to open and close in an order. So all these valves here, all are labelled. So we go through open valve 2, close valve 1, then next, open valve 6, so now that 2, 6, and 7 valves are open, we need to make sure 1, 3, 5, and 8 are all closed. Valves are in the correct positions. We turn the pump back on, just a green start button. You'll hear it turn on, and you make sure that it is actually flowing backwards. You'll start to see the filter through this clear pipe here. you can see there it's getting far more cloudier and murkier. Once this is clear, you know the backwash is complete. So now that you can see that the filtered water is fully clean, you come back here and switch off the pump. Then you come and make sure all your valves are correct positions. Alrighty, so now that the backwash is complete, we need to open the correct valves to rinse out. So we make sure, as per the list, that all the correct valves are opened and closed. Now that we have opened 1 and opened 8, we're ready for the rinse. Now with the pump to rinse, just start it up and let it go for 20 seconds or until the water is clear, that you can see through the tube. Now that the rinse is done, we can turn off the pump. So now we can return to filtration. All of our valves, which are open or closed, show up on these pinups. So for the filtration, open is 1, 5, 7, and 8. And closed is 2, 3, 4, and 6. Perfect. So now that all the valves are correct, we can turn back the pump, and then once the pump's on, we make sure that the pressure is correct. So you can see it's been a successful backwash as the pressure has dropped and the water in the tube is clear. So now that we're finished, we can turn on the ProCow. Which is a simple switch, and we know that's running for the sound. And lastly, we'll turn the heaters back on. So we switch those down, and you can see that they're back on. Now that the backwash is complete, we get the staff communications book and just write down the date that we did it and how successful it was, so there's always a record of what we've done.